Somebody's hearing me this evening, this morning, this afternoon, wherever you're watching from, getting bigger every day. Fire in my bones. Too loaded to be stranded, too loaded to be put to shame. I'm so excited to be in your various lives this evening, this morning, this afternoon. I don't know the time in which you are watching me tonight. Wow, we're going to have a blast. Please, if you can tell your friends to join, share. It's going to be awesome. Somebody is coming to share her life, her story, her reality. You know, sometimes when you go through things in life, it doesn't look like your reality. It doesn't look real to some people. But he that wears the shoes knows where it hurts. I've said it multiple times. I've told people, I said, you can't tell me you don't know, or I'm not feeling you, or you are not feeling me. Good evening, everyone. I'm good. Thank you for asking if I'm good. I'm very good. I'm doing very well. Now, sometimes when you go through stuff, people don't know what you're going through. They don't feel you. You know, a lot of people give out a slang. Feel me. Can you feel me? Most of the time, nobody can feel you. He that wears the shoes knows where it hurts. Listen to me. When you are wearing a shoe and it's hurting you, don't keep quiet. Deal with it. If you don't deal with it, it's still going to deal with you badly. Any sin you handle with anything, let me not use the word sin, anything you handle with levity, we still handle you with gravity. Good evening, everyone. Anything at all that is hurting you, paining you, you are feeling somehow, if you don't deal with it, it will still deal with you. So you cannot afford to try to lie. You know, we like to be in denial. We like to cover things up. We try to put up a mask. You know, ladies, they understand what I'm saying. When you want to go to a party and you want to, look your best, you have to get a good makeup artist. And what that person does is to metamorphosize you, change you, and turn you to someone you are not. Sometimes when you look at yourself in the mirror and say, are you sure this is me? You're on a lighter mode. I've seen someone that had, tribal marks, very deep, and after the makeover, after the makeup, there wasn't anything like that mark. Nobody saw it. That tells you something that, when you are masking, when you are covering up, it's not visible, but you know where the shoe hurts. And that's why when somebody is talking about her story and her reality and the steps she had to take to get herself off it. Today I had an interview. Please try and listen to She Matters on Sunday. It's so powerful. It's going to be uploaded on my YouTube channel. Oh my goodness. I listened to that girl. I became tearful. She was also tearful. And it's like, what? Nobody knew that those things were sitting somewhere. Hear me today, please. I'm going to have my guest shortly. She's ready. Of course, no face, no name, no identity. But this thing she's saying is her reality, is her story, what she has been through. If you are joining me on this program and you want to share your life story, your reality, your story, you can always send me a DM. I will allow you, no name, no face, no identity. Talking about the lady that I brought on, I just finished, doing an interview with her, and she's going to come up on She Matters on Sunday. No name, no face, no identity, but what she went through. She was so tortured by her dad. She was messed up. She was tortured mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically. Beaten all over, marks all over her face, pretty face marked. She thought she had gotten over it. She got married at 28. You're going to listen to her, but I'm bringing out something here. Do you know that the first marriage was abusive? The second marriage was abusive. Now, she had 2 kids with 2 different dads, and this last marriage was terrible. Why? She must have felt, okay, they hurt me, my daddy did this to me, my mommy left me with my dad to abuse me, blah, blah, blah. And she would have felt that she was fine. No, nothing is wrong. But that pain she went through, the things that happened to her, made her to start dancing to a music she does not know who is playing the rhythm. And at the end of the day, today, she's in pain. So when we talk about dealing with issues, your story, your reality, it shouldn't end there. you should know that you have to take another step, especially when you are dealing with your childhood wound and trauma. Somebody is hearing me. You were molested when you were young. You were sexually assaulted. As a matter of fact, your first exposure to sex was someone that is close to you in the family, and you felt, oh, I'm fine, I'm born again. Excuse me, please, let's leave the issue of I'm born again on his side, and let's deal with our baggages. I'm going to bring my guest in. Of course, no name, no face, no identity. I'm going to invite her to come. And as soon as I send that invitation, she's not going to show her face. I'm trying to get her. She's already with me. I'm just trying to pick her up now. And let her join me. As soon as she joins me, please, I want you to listen to her story. This is her story and her reality. By the grace of God, of course, she's getting bigger every day. Every day she's getting bigger, every day, and she's getting better. But the point is that until she made a decision to get better, she could not have life. But I want you to have it at the back of your mind that you cannot live in the pain of your past. I've said it before. Let me say it here because of what I'm talking about tonight. I love my toenails naturally. I wear an open slippers, an open shoe because of age and because I don't want to stress myself. And I remember I had this fungal infection. The infection was obvious, and the pain will come, like I'm feeling the pain in my brain. And the person that was doing my pedicure told me, said, Mom, can you just let's take this nail off and let's treat the infection? I tried to, you know how you rationalize pain, how you try to say, no, let's bother, I'm fine. You better know you are not fine. If you are not fine, you are not fine. You are not fine, you are not fine. So at the end of the day, I just, let it like that. I will put hydrogen peroxide, how you have pain, that is kind of smelling. I will scoop the thing out. I would smell it. The smell was so nauseating. I would, put M&B just to stock that particular toenail. And I left it. And I remember that day I needed to go to the States to preach. And as I was preaching, my nail fell off and blood was everywhere. And for 3 days, I was in pain. I could not preach. I had to preach without slippers, not even slippers, for 3 days. And I have to preach because they paid my ticket fee and I was their guest speaker. And several months after, not few months, the Holy Spirit just said to me, anything you cover with decay, hear me tonight. If you are struggling in the area of your emotions, your feelings, somebody said something, somebody did something, somebody made a statement that crushed you. There's a lady watching me now. I will share her story. She's watching me, but of course, no name, no face, no identity. When she met me in the ministry, she's hearing me now. I didn't give her details because she's online. I've seen her. She was going to, she got told that you are going to hell. So she said, maybe I will let her share her story one day, because my story, my reality, I can actually bring her in to share her story. So at the end of the day, I said to her, she just told me, she said, God told me to come for the Women College of Ministry. And she came. And I started teaching about sex and all of that. And of course, her marriage was restored. She was happy. And I asked her a question, one of the days of my counseling with her and therapy. I said, tell me your first sexual exposure. And she said, when she was a young lady, a lady was, I will still continue. My story is interesting. A lady was kidnapped. I'm going to persuade her to share her story. I'm telling you, because this program is my story, my reality. She told me, she said, Ma, I'm actually going to bring her to confirm what I'm saying. I'm going to persuade her. If she doesn't want to show her face, I wouldn't mind. But I want her to share her. It was her story, her reality. She said a lady was made to get married to a man she never loved. And then they brought her, they actually, it's like they handicapped her, they kidnapped her to the man's house. And right there, the man was sexually relating with her And she was crying and crying for days. She said, I didn't know what happened. She said from that day, the issue of sex became a problem. And that thing was almost destroying her marriage. Now, if she had not had the privilege of counseling, of therapy, of having an intervention, she wouldn't have known that that was the cause of her refusing her husband the covenant duty in marriage. Why am I saying this? Sometimes we feel that some of the things we go through in life, we feel that it's gone, it's fine, but unconsciously, consciously, we are reacting to those voices of pain, of shame, of rejection, of abuse, both verbal, emotional, psychological abuse. An annoying part of all of this is we are living in a culture that does not respect our soul. David said, it made me to lie down and it restores my soul. When you have a wound in your soul, I'm still trying to figure it out how to have my guest in tonight. And of course, I'm going to have her in. You know, it made me to lie down and it restores my soul. Your soul is the seat of information, education. Your soul is the seat of pain, is the seat of whatever you are being through. We are tripartite being. We have a spirit, we have a soul, and we live in a body. The body is the outlet. Whatever you see outside, maybe just because of anger, you slap someone, something had happened in your soul. Something has affected your subconscious mind. And let me say this to you, it is touchable. Your soulish realm is tangible. We need to start living in that consciousness. David said, it makes me to lie down in green pasture and it restores my soul. Until your soul is restored, you are going to be limited in life. It takes a child or a man or a woman or an adult that is fully restored that can become whatever in life. Or else, you are just going to be living a life, dancing to a music, you don't know it's playing the rhythm. You're just going to be having struggles in some parts of your life. Now, don't get me wrong. I was sharing when I was talking to this lady today. A lady, one of the person that was recording my episode made a statement. I said, you know, we have doctors that smoke. She said, yes. We have doctors that smoke like chimney. We have doctors that sleep with their patients, and they know it's against the ethics of their profession. We have people that are in a particular profession. They know that this is hazardous to their job. It can actually make them to lose their job. You remember, I mean, the story is all over the social platform or social media. A particular doctor who was a gynecologist who was into so much sexual perversion that he would have sex with his clients and video them. The wife was the one that brought him to book, told the whole world that he was actually sleeping with her niece, and the video, and you know, the camera picked it. Now, these are people that now you are going to blame the man. You know, we are living in a world of blame and accusation, allegation. Why would you do that? What is wrong with you? Are you not a doctor? Are you not an engineer? Are you not a pastor? You should know better. Excuse me. He cannot know better because he's dealing with issues that are sublime. He does not know why he's doing that. He's using his struggle to medicate a pain that is in his womb, in his soul. And let me say this. If you have a headache, ordinary headache, you want to treat it. We are not wired. Thank you. Dr. Laleye, that's the name. Somebody just gave me the name. It's all over. If you Google his name, you find him everywhere with his uniform. What a shame. Now, what brought that shame? Anything that you cover will decay. What brought that shame was the fact that he was probably, you don't even know his story. He never took time to address what is killing him. And that's why every parent, if you are hearing me now, I'm bringing dynamic parenting webinar to you, which we are resuming on the 25th of March. Listen to me, it's not debatable. You need to know how sensitive, how dynamic it is raising a child. Do you know that Dr. Laleye has the potential? He has, I mean, you know how many celebrities were following him, helping him to build his career. I was told he was in England. He got into sex record, negative book of, you know, having sexual perversion, and he had to be brought back to Nigeria, and he did not deal with it. Listen, if you don't deal with it, he will still deal with you. Sometimes you are not even aware. I've seen people that are not sure. They are not aware. And that's why I used to say this. It's my nickname. You can help me to write it again. Trace it, face it, erase it, and start replacing it. If you cannot trace it, you can't face it. You have to go to the root. And honestly, you can't go to the root on your own. You can't. It's not possible. A doctor needs a doctor. A banker needs a banker. An engineer needs an engineer. People need each other. You need somebody somewhere to help you to navigate your challenges and bring you to a place of rest, sanity, and serenity. I'm still waiting for my guest to be here today. But listen to me, and listen to me profoundly. If you are in any struggle, you might not even know that the reason why you are struggling in your marriage, low self-esteem, personality that nobody can satisfy, you are not just normal. You too, you know you are not normal. You have to trace the root. And it's only a therapist, a doctor, a professional that will help you to hold your emotions, tangibly handle it. Intentionally, I'm saying this. Handle it tangibly, because those things are visible. They are physical. I was looking at myself sometimes ago, and I made this analysis, and I'm still going to make it here. You have headache. Let's say you have, you're just feeling headache, slightly, and you went to the next thing is to get your first aid box and take a paracetamol or something, and you took it, or you go to a chemist. Let me use chemist because of my analysis. You went to a chemist, you took paracetamol, fine, you're good. After some time, the headache persists. Now you begin to question yourself. After this analgesic has weared out, what's going on here? Then you go back to probably to talk to a doctor, go to a hospital that is close by. What you are treated for in Africa, because I don't know the part of the world you're listening from, you go to treat malaria. The next thing is fever, blood test, blah, blah, blah. After treating malaria by your neighbor, that is the doctor that is close by, you've done everything. The next thing you do, you drive yourself to a teaching hospital. Now, when you get to a doctor, a teaching hospital, you get to that teaching hospital where they treat issue thoroughly, not superficially, not on the surface. What would you do? As soon as you come to the doctor, they have your card. The next thing you will see your doctor do is to pull out some sheets of papers with different stripes: saliva test, urine test, blood test. You start, doing all sorts of tests, examinations. Why? Why is it that the doctor did not give you the kind of injection or the analgesic or whatever you are using? You understand? Whatever you're supposed to use. No, the doctor wants to get to the root. That's why you do tests. And that's what you do when you check into therapy, when you get into someone that will help you. That is what you will do. If you don't do that, the doctor, a professional, a doctor that knows what he's doing, a thorough medical doctor will not treat you until they know the roots of what is killing you or what is giving you that discomfort. It's the same with your soul. It's the same with your mind. The moment you can't touch it, you can't handle it, you can't lay hold on it. Yes. Somebody said they have to consult their oracle first. Exactly. And that is, their oracle is the medical, the medical report, the medical, the test, the examinations. Now, when they finish that, they will now check everything. So when they are treating you, and that's what a therapist does, when they are treating you, they go straight to the place of your shame. Now, what the therapist does, what the doctor does, is they go straight, because they have seen all the results, they go straight to the root of the problem. If you have a story, is your story is your reality. They are the things you've been through in life that has rocked you, shaking you to your marrow. I remember some years ago, let me share one with you, one of my reality, my story. When I was growing up, I grew up from a very You know, all Africans came from a dysfunctional home. Anyway, there's no home that is functional. Even if you are from a monogamous home or you are from a polygamous home, the dysfunctionality is evident. Because let me break it down a little bit on a side before my guest comes in. If you are from a monogamous home, you would have assumed, oh, daddy and mommy are fine. They wear uniform to church. They are together. They love each other. And they don't know you as a child. Dynamic parenting webinar is something that would transform your life in parenting. Listen to me. When we were growing up, we had parents that had time, a little bit of time. In your generation, this generation is going to be tough. It's actually tough. Oh God. Let me digress again. I went somewhere to buy some stuff, and I saw a baby, less than a year-old baby, on a phone. The boy was engrossed in the phone of his mom. And I paid. She wanted to check the alert to be sure that the money is in our account, and took the phone from this boy. If you see the tantrums, not up to a year-old child, that tells you something. They are feeding the mind of this child with something to avert distractions. Parenting is not fun. Yes. Okay. And others send a request to join. Okay, she's here to join now. Okay, finally. Go live. Wow, we got it. We figured it out. I'm so excited that we're able to do that. We figured it out. Well, I'll be bringing in welcome. I have my guests in the house. They are really, really welcome, and I really appreciate the fact that you have made up your mind to be vulnerable tonight, to share your story with me and with the world. Of course, no name, no face, no identity. So you are safe. Yes. Are you ready? No name, no face. So let me hear your story. Let's listen to your side of your story. Is your story is your reality? And let me say this to everyone hearing me today, whether you are conscious or not, or conscious of it or not, your story is helping someone. I'm sure by the time you listen to her and you hear what she's gone through and probably she's dealing with, I don't know the angle which she's coming from. If I have to come in to ask her a question, I will do that. Then you will know that somehow, your story, your reality can be a blessing to another life. Welcome, my guest. Welcome. Are you there? Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Yes, ma, I am.
Yes, I can hear you
me, ma?
Clearly, very clear. Thank you.
Good evening, mommy. Thank you for this opportunity, and sorry for the technical
we are getting
issues.
I had a little glitches last week too, but it's better today, so it can only get better by today. Thank God for the great men that are helping me behind the scene. Go ahead with it.
Okay, ma. I'll just speak briefly. I won't go into details about my trauma or what led to it. But starting from what you just said, ma, I believe that most families in Africa, well, Nigeria, particularly, can be classified as being dysfunctional, mine included. Although while growing up, I wouldn't describe it as such. It wasn't perfect. There are so many issues. Obviously, when there is no adultery or alcohol, the major issues that we deal with in the church, we assume that it's okay. You can still deal with it. But in hindsight, I see where it's left bruises on myself and my siblings, me especially being a female. And yes, over time, I would say I had more positive influences around me growing up. I had a very loving grandmom, very loving mom, uncles were great examples. So it took my eyes off a lot of things going on in the background, especially with my dad, because the major issue with my family was my dad. Again, I would say I was lucky to have majorly positive role models in my life, both of my dad. So getting into marriage and experiencing a toxic situation full on than I ever imagined brought in more trauma than I hope or ever imagined. Or I think the truth of the matter is it's saying it loud is quite difficult, but the truth of the matter is it dug up. That's the word. It dug up all those suppressed feelings or the suppressed negative effects of coming from a somewhat dysfunctional home, which I can describe mine as without going into details. And please, I will use the opportunity to say please for any single person, no matter how happy your parents are, no matter how perfect your childhood has been, before you go into marriage, please go into therapy. Go into therapy, know yourself. That's the work of a therapist. They make you get in touch with your feelings. They make you they on earth, they will, by the grace of God. Well, if you're a Christian, I'm a Christian, and I believe if you go to a Christian therapist like mommy with the with biblical principles, will help you acknowledge your feelings, those ingrained wounds that you yourself may not know you've got. It's very important. Not just marriage counseling on the surface, but you knowing yourself.
Let me
Because
pause a bit. Let me
looking
pause
back,
a little bit here. You mentioned the word bruising. Now,
okay,
sometimes you talk
yes,
about scars, you talk about wounds, but you said
yes,
bruises, meaning that as a matter of fact, it
yes,
doesn't look like anything was wrong, but many things were wrong. Is that what you're saying?
exactly, ma.
Go ahead.
Yes, ma. That is it, ma. Yes, going back again, I would say I had 80% positive influences in my childhood. Teenage years, even pre-marriage. I felt loved. I felt accepted. What a child would want. Yes, I didn't have it from my dad as I would have desired to, or as every child would want. But a lot of people paid up for that. So it had, unknown to me, I had bruises. I had yes, goodness, I had bruises, which
Wow.
marriage really
Now
dug up for
she
me.
said, now
And
listen, let me
again,
help you. Let me say something here. She said one of the things, because I know she was getting emotional, but listen to me. She made a statement that she had bruises, that she felt everything was fine, but because of the father's wound, we have, when I do the School of Ministry, we address healing of the father's wounding, and we discover that every child that his father is not there to celebrate, to heroize, to make feel special, they have these bruises, they have these wounds. And one is very, very conspicuous. They make wrong choices and do things wrongly, especially when it comes to relationship. A child that the father validates, show off, that's my, let me go back a little bit to the scriptures, because we are taking her case to take some lessons home. I remember, if you want to think about Jesus Christ, you would have thought and said, oh, he came from a dysfunctional home, because the woman just came up and said, I'm pregnant. It was obvious she was pregnant, and it became a scandal, as it were. And the husband, the fiancé, knew that he didn't do anything with her. So the point is, I didn't have any sex with you. So what's going on? And he had an encounter, and the angel told him, said, well, you better allow yourself to be privileged to be the surrogate father of Jesus and all of that. So they went on, had the baby in the inn and all of that. But something happened. For Jesus to be relevant in life and become a voice to be reckoned with, he needed a father figure. So when he was made to go to John the Baptist to be baptized, heaven opened, and his father declared him, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. Hear him. From that day, the boy, or let me say the man, Jesus, I'm sure he just stood up and started catwalking and planting his identity in his father. So I want want everybody to hear me now. If you are in a family system that your father, there are 4 types of wrong fathers. We have a shadow dad, we have a missing in action dad, we have a boundary buster dad, we have a traditional dad, we have a critical dad. I've said 5 or 4 thereabouts. Now, when you have such a father, if you know as you are listening to me now that your dad was never there to make you feel special and important, you need to check into therapy. You will have serious low self-esteem. Achieve more than an achiever. Become a voice to your world. Become a celebrity. You will still struggle with that identity of not having a father that flaunts you and tells you, this is my son, this is my daughter. So if you have a challenge in that area, just know that you are a #1 candidate for therapy, no matter how it is. If you are not raised by a single parent, or your mom had a feeling, just had you, that's another story for another time. Please go ahead with your story. I'm listening. I just needed to bring that out for people that are listening to you because you talked about your dad.
Yes, ma'am. And yeah. Yes, please. Apart from emotional wounds, these pains, this emotional pain is stored, they are stored in the body. So health-wise, you've got to take care of yourself as a female, especially. Please, if you're if you're from a dysfunctional family and you are now in an unhealthy marriage, please seek help. Just
what we are trying
seek
to
help.
say, if you
So
are
as
not
to
careful,
not
you can begin to be dealing with some physical ailments too, apart from emotional wounds. Please go ahead with your story.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of women complain about muscular tension, muscular pain. Yes, you may be working really hard. You may be, a high flyer and go-getter. It's majorly stems from emotional baggages, and it does. And please, once again, I'm appealing to everyone, male and female, because abuse has no gender, it knows no gender, But most importantly, do not pass emotional baggages to your children.
Oh dear Lord, you are saying something here that I have to butt in. Most men and women
do not pass emotional.
I need to butt in here because you just touched my passion. You touched something in me as I'm talking to you right away. The moment you are not healthy emotionally, it is natural to transfer that aggression to anything around you. That's why I used to say that where 2 elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. It is natural for you. Now, if you have a husband that loves you, holds you, you communicate, you share, you are kind to one another, there's so much love deposit in your love bank. When your kids come to you and jump on you and all of that, say, mom, 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 or even mistakenly hit you somehow, you won't snap, you won't react. But if there are issues you are dealing with and your son or your daughter stepped on you or broke a bottle unintentionally, the way you will react, the child will be wondering, mom, dad, what happened? What did I do? What did I do? The punishment will be much more than the thing that has happened. And that's why she's saying it. Please go ahead with what you're saying. Wow.
And again, we may talk about children not being able to deal with these situations and the way the world is going right now. They will find comfort in other things, which as a parent you wouldn't be happy with. And not only that, they are most likely also to walk the same to take the same step you've taken in the past by not going for healthy spouses. Now, mommy will always say it's not their fault, because if you're all from dysfunctional homes, you will manifest it in different forms. So if I'm dysfunctional and I get married to, if I'm from a dysfunctional family and I get married to someone from some sort of family like myself, they won't treat me right and I won't treat them perfectly right also. But then, how do we deal with ourselves? You are more open to abuse: sexual, emotional, physical, psychological, name it, mental abuse. If I'm healthy, I can deal with it a lot better than someone in my position, because if you're not dealing with self-esteem issue, you're not dealing with betrayal before, you've not had issues with rejection. Well, for me, I never thought I did before I got married, because like I said, it was marked by the whole lot of people that were surrounding me. But looking back now, I never felt accepted by my dad. So now getting to marriage, and wherever you're going to get heightened to, you have to be honest with yourself. Any form of toxicity you are experiencing from your spouse, it gets heightened from your bucket that was already full from your childhood days. And that's why I go back to it again. Please get a therapist to know yourself. Who are you? Ask yourself, who am I? If you're a single parent now, before you get into another relationship, please ask yourself, who am I? What am I made of? What are my strengths, and what are my weaknesses? Because if you don't know all these things, which I'm getting to find out now I won't tell you a sub story, because I don't want to go into details, but I wish I could go into details and you'll be able to connect the joints together.
Get the level
but
that you will come out and say, this is my story, this is my song. We're getting there.
Yes,
now
ma'am.
let you understand something that
I'll probably own it. Yes,
healing is like peeling an onion. It's in phases. I knew when she was talking about her reality, her story, she became a little bit emotional. It's in phases. After some time, you will be bold to say, because at the end of the day, you become a wounded healer and you will no longer be ashamed. But this season is allowed, is permitted. I can give you a scripture to back that up. I remember when Jesus met the woman at the well in John chapter 4. Of course, we knew that she had 6 husbands, and the 7th one was Jesus that came to beautify, to perfect everything that concerns her. When she went to Samaria to preach, she didn't give us the details. She just said, come and see a man who told me everything I've ever done. Because she knew that the detail and the goriness of the things she's been through might not be comfortable for her to say the details. But she just said, come and meet a man that told me everything I've ever done. But if you look further down, I'm sure because of space crisis, she would have opened up her wound and tell them, look at the scars, but he has healed me without a scar. So I understand that fact that sometimes when you are dealing with things like this, don't worry, you don't have to be public about it for now, but we'll get there in the process of time. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I've lost my bearing. What was I talking about again?
What you were saying was very clear. You said you couldn't say some things about the marriage now because the timing is not ripe yet.
Yes.
So I now made it clear to people, and some are listening to us now that actually felt they don't want to talk about it because the things involved are still, the wound is still fresh. The things that have happened is still fresh. The people involved are still there, and probably it's not healthy. So I just want somebody to be comfortable, not to say I don't want to share my reality, my story, because I don't want it public. Healing is like peeling an onion. It's in layers. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, ma. Yes, for me tonight, I think I believe what I'm trying to pass on is this: do not in any way belittle the effects of childhood abuse or childhood abandonment or negative upbringing in whatever form or shape it comes, or you've experienced it. Please don't. We tend to be so spiritual about things. We pray to God. Yeah, God's got answers prayers, but the Bible says faith without works is dead. And at this point in time, we have to be intentional, very intentional about your healing journey. It's quite expensive, I know, but please and please again, if you can take care of everything, start from inwards. And this is an opportunity to thank my mom. She's actually financing my my counseling, because it's a great deal. And once again, surround yourself with people who wish you well. Not only wish you well, but act accordingly to make you progress in life. Because one, you're not here in this world by yourself. You've got innocent children, and I will say it again over and over. it can't be overemphasized. Mommy here, Mama Funke would, for me, I've listened to a couple of pastors in Nigeria, and they talk about emotional abuse. No one has ever, from that, listened to mention narcissism, or effects of being with the narcissist or whatever personality disorders, and that's why I say, please learn your personality, and learn your spouse's personality, or your spouse to be personality, because these are the things. For me, I had ingrained anger issues which I didn't know. I didn't know before I got married that I had ingrained anger issues until I was in a situation, or I was exposed to situations where it was, it came to play. And yes, man, that's you have to. Healing starts with honesty. You've got to be honest, and your healing journey, you've got to be honest with yourself. It's easy to do the blame game. Yes, I can say of a fact, if I wasn't exposed to what I was exposed to, those things wouldn't have been materialized in me. But the fact is still there. If you don't have an ability to steal, you would never steal, no matter how hungry you are. Then that is the truth. If you're an honest person, no matter how much of a crisis you are in, you wouldn't change the figures. So the fact that I was able to act in a certain way, say some things which I regret now, is because I've got the ability to do that in the first place. So please, and let's not plant these things in our children. Like you get easily irritable. Then you are teaching your children anger. You are teaching them impatience. If you're not affectionate enough, you are teaching them not to be empathetic to people, and there will be people's spouses. Because that's how I see it. It's a spiral situation where the world is not going to get better if you keep hiding our pains, our bruises, our hurts, and hoping that they fly away. It wouldn't fly away. And I pray, like mommy said, one day I will be able to come out again and speak boldly about my childhood and link it to my relationship now and the effect it's had on me. And yeah, hopefully it won't pass on to my children. So those are the things that I'm still feeling very raw. I'm feeling,
the
yes,
wound is still, the
I'm
wound
still
is
feeling
fresh.
very raw. It's still very much there. But the fact that I'm given this opportunity to speak is a right path. I'm on a right path. I'm on a right journey. Please, I join you all. I beg of you all, join me in this journey. It's not a collective thing, it's an individual thing, but in your own individual ways, seek this journey. With the help of God, we will get there. We are going to the top, and that's all I've got to
Thank you
say. That except mommy has
much.
other questions for
She
me.
made a statement about the cost, and I said to myself, God forbid, if I'm diagnosed, okay, don't let me use me. If somebody close to you that is dear to your heart is diagnosed a terminal disease now, and they said a bottle of oxygen is $20,000 or $10,000. Okay, maybe that is too high. $5,000 per bottle, and she would need 10 bottles. If you actually love that person, you will source for the funds. There is no amount of money that is too expensive for your sanity. Anytime you are dealing with any form of baggages, abuse, whatever it is, what normally happens is sitting like a time bomb. It's an accident that is about to happen. It's seated in your subconscious and it's going to explode. I've seen a short man succeed. I've seen a tall man succeed. I've seen a blind man succeed. I've seen a deaf man succeed. I've seen men on wheelchair doing great and mighty things, but I've never seen a madman succeed. The moment your mental health is distorted, you are moving close to insanity. I remember, if you get out there, you see a lot of people in mental home. It is their emotional wounds that transcend to the fact that they have to start, acting funny, losing their minds, and some never recover from insanity. It takes the mercy of God for somebody to have lost his or her mind and come back to be sane again. That's a dimension of grace and you don't want to get there. There's a line you must not cross mentally. There's a line. Please hear it and note it from the depth of your heart. There's a line you must not cross mentally. If you cross it and you get to the other side means madness. If you laugh too much, they'll say, something is about to happen. It's about the end of the month. If you are too quiet, you say, something is gathering up. She's going to lose it now. So you don't want to get there at all, for no reason. So if you have to do, whatever you have to do is emergency, dealing with your mental health, especially if you are still there. She has mentioned a lot of things about narcissistic personality disorder and all of that. We're still going to be breaking it down. But tonight, there's a statement that has been made that is very, very important. I wrote it down here. She said, don't mask anything. Unveil the veil. Burst the bubble. Unmask the mask. Because take it or leave it, you are living with it. And whatever, anything you cover will decay. It's still going to be there. And until you bring it out, whatever is not buried, if it's not dead, you can't bury it. If it's not dead, you can't bury it. Anything that has life will still be breathing, will still be acting. But when he's dead, you can now bury it. So if he's still living, you get angry. He's living, you're having sex outside marriage. He's living, you watch pornography. He's breathing, you masturbate to stupor. He's breathing, you smoke, you drink. Nobody knows, you hid it, it's covered. You are masking it. It will still come out clear. And you are living on a borrowed time. You know, I remember there was a guy that called me for sexual addiction about 5 years ago. I'm privileged to have a phone that, I don't lose contact. And she didn't know, I now did on my status today, I just put masturbation addiction. She now said, and the bad part of it, or should I say bad? The worst part of it is very clear. He's always sending me broadcasts, Bible passages every day. And it's so consistent. But I just smiled because I knew any sickness, anything you cover, what you don't deal with is a matter of time. And that's why in therapy, in counseling, we don't force people, we don't impose help on anybody. It's like you are sick. When it gets to a particular level in which you can't handle it anymore, you go and seek help. But I don't want it to deteriorate to a level that you would have, been in a state of regret. I'm bringing a guest next week. My story, my reality. You listen to her story. It's not me that will. When I'm bringing her up, I will explain. Of course, she's going to mask again. No face, no name, no identity. If you want to join me and you want your faces to show you are bold enough, you've gotten over your wounds into a place that you can confidently say it, why not? I wouldn't mind to have you on board. My sister, I want to say a very big thank you for being part of this today. You've done well, excellently well. Like I said, she said, don't mask. She talked about masking. She talked about masking. She talked about therapy. She has said a lot of things. And I believe some people know, and everybody knows that if you have a wound and it's not treated, I normally give this explanation. Let me give it again before I leave. Some of us have had wounds before on our skin, on our flesh, on our body, that we felt it's healed. Oh, it's fine, that's fine, it's totally healed, completely healed. And then probably you just scratched the surface and you start seeing fresh blood. If you have had that kind of experience, or you've been there, or you understand what I'm saying, can I have an agreement in the house? You just scratch it and the fresh blood that will be coming out will look like, what? I thought this wound is healed. And that is what happened when you have emotional wounds of any kind and it's not well healed. When you scratch it, the wound can be fresh. I've said that multiple times. Some, it's not that the wound is fresh, the bleeding is fresh. Sometimes you have to really treat it because the blood that is coming is even smelling. And that's why I've seen a lot of people on earth that have so much potential. They have, look at that doctor that we talked about, you know, have so much to deliver, but their wounds, 100%. Thank you for agreeing 100%. Their wound is thinking, is tension, and nobody can move near them because their life is not bringing out a good fragrance. What brings out a good fragrance, the best part of your life, is when you have dealt with whatever has dealt with you or is dealing with you. If you don't deal with it, it's still going to deal with you in the future. It takes courage to say, let me go and heal. It takes courage to go to the hospital. Sometimes you don't even have courage. Life is going out of you and you felt, I don't have a choice. I have to get to the hospital. Once again, thank you so much for being part of this tonight. We spent an hour, and I don't want us to exceed that, except we have a guest that will take us that far, like we did last week. Our guest was far. Thank you so much for being part of this tonight. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. I will definitely see you tomorrow. We have one that is coming tomorrow. Let me check. Okay. Is it toxic or not toxic? You're going to know if you're in a toxic relationship. You know, maybe I'll talk about boundaries. I'm not sure. But tomorrow is just me and you. And if you want to join me to say one or two things, you'll be permitted. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. I appreciate you. Love you. Cheers. Bye-bye.